Holy shit, we synced the audio this time?
Don't give us credit yet. 99 will probably be like, not gonna be synced at all.
Okay.
So
If that's... Yeah, I'm not sure what that emotion is, but...
I just gotta say, man, I'm in a jolly whippersnapper mood that we don't have that balding fuck with us
Yeah,
today.
that dumb, bald idiot,
He
stupid
ruined
idiot
everything.
baby.
His stupid glowing head. Like, I mean, I know we sat him right under the light, but still,
Dumbass
why
head.
does his head just have
Bro
to glow?
has zero color on him. He is made of... It looks like he's made of mirrors.
It does. He's perfectly reflective. Like, you could see the camera in his forehead.
It's crazy.
Fucking-
It's crazy because we were setting up these lights for the last one, and we had to tone them down because Alex looked like a ghost.
And then he still looked even.
I said, "Bro, go
Ghost.
outside, get some color on you.
Yeah. Who knows? We're gonna
Go to
take
a
this
tanning
trip.
booth."
We're gonna take this special trip or whatever for the podcast, right? And he's gonna come back darker than dark. Like, he's gonna be the color of this wood.
He's gonna look West African. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna look like black.
He's gonna be instead he's gonna absorb all the light. He's gonna turn into a black hole. He's just gonna suck in all
No,
the
he's
light.
not even gonna be like African black. He's gonna be like Vanta black. It's gonna be like a black hole walking towards you.
People think it's like a camera artifact in the middle. It's just like this weird black smudge.
People will see him and think they're having a stroke. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm seeing a person that should not exist right now."
In fairness, I have a stroke every time I look at Alex too. So I just look at him and I'm like,
Okay.
you know. So
Gotta have that root beer.
rudest Buddhist, dude.
Yeah, a bit of Diet A and Dub.
Oh, I forgot they make Diet A and W, yeah. Because that shit's high in sugar. That one says 0 sugar.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get diabetes soon.
You take one sip of root beer and you're like,
And also, I'm not trying to drink. I think one of these with sugar has like 95% of your
it's
daily
70.
sugar.
It's like 76%. At least the Barks one is.
and
Or
then
a
I'm
mug,
not.
rather.
And then I'm not trying to drink like
2 or 3.
4 of those a day. Like
Yeah, fuck that.
I'll die.
Yeah.
I've done a pretty good job so far of not getting diabetes, and I would like to keep it.
Which
that
is
way.
impressive.
Which genuinely is.
Yeah.
Genuinely it is. And I'm thankful for that. But, knock on wood, as they say. Hello and welcome to the 98th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our co-host, Jordan.
And no other co-host today.
No sometimes co-host.
Just a nice little seat.
Yeah, just, some distance between us, which is, I think fair.
I think fair, yeah. I mean, I offered to sit in the middle, maybe give a little lean. We could just, snuggle up.
And I said, absolutely not, Jordan. This is a platonic relationship.
Yeah.
We are platonic friends.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to check out the Platonic Boys,
The platonic boys.
you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and of course, the RSS Feed, baby. You put it wherever the hell you want. Listen to us. Catch up with us. Hear us speak. And as always, if you're pissed about what we said or you want us to die, send us your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me, and also YouTube comment section, and there's also Instagram and TikTok, which I have been lacking on. I got the shorts made for the last 2 episodes. I just haven't fucking uploaded them. I have just been lacking. I've been a busy boy.
Yeah, I've heard, but I think I've said this and expressed this sentiment before, but the email, the comments, questions, concerns, death threats, I feel like one day we're just gonna get like pictures of our houses sent to us.
Literally, it's gonna be a picture of our house. Yeah.
It's gonna be like Tesla Apple fan 69.
Tim Apple.
Those are the two brands that we diss the most.
Yeah.
Tesla and Apple.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I know it's not even gonna be a photo of our house. It's gonna start at like 100. It's gonna be a photo of us sleeping, each.
It's gonna be a photo of us on our camping trip, both snuggled up together.
Yeah.
Well, all of us are gonna be in one big bed, like the Who's in Whoville, like in the Grinch.
Yeah. Just one ginormous bed, which is all just snuggled up.
Snuggle up together like this with the blanket.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be something like that, or it's gonna be like I'm gonna get a photo. I'm gonna text the photo of you tied up in like the back of a car, just like, and I'm gonna be like, damn, bro, that's kind of sick. Tweet.
Damn, Chris is getting up to some stuff, man.
Man, I always knew Chris was a little weird, man.
Little sus.
I come to do the podcast in like 2 weeks. I go down here and your dad lets me in, and I'm like, yeah, come to see Chris, and there's just a corpse in your spot. You're like a rotting corpse.
The idea that I perish and my dad does not even know or care. He's like, man, I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. He's just like, yeah,
It's
he's
been a lot quieter
downstairs.
around here.
He's like, he's probably downstairs somewhere, and you're just literally decaying.
And I'm just decaying into the couch.
Your jaw's like hanging half off. I'm like, man.
I look like a fucking zombie.
I'm like, man, shit got wild. Still just fucking dead.
And then you walk in and I perk back up and I'm like, oh, hey, Jordan.
It's like I bring life into the room. You just suck on the life essence. You're like, hey, how's it going, man? Episode 100, right? I'm like, yeah, let's go, man. Yeah. But, Chris.
Jordan.
Formalities out of the way. Banter out of the way. What have you been up to? Because I know you're doing some interesting shit.
Man. So, we'll talk about this later on, but you had a bad weekend last weekend.
On a couple of bad weekends.
Yeah. I had, however, a great weekend.
Ooh.
Okay.
Saturday. This was last weekend?
This was last weekend. I have been working with my dad on rebuilding our outdoor kitchen.
And it looks great, by the way.
So, there used to be just a grill out there and like a countertop and stuff, but we tore all the rotted wood and shit out. We built it back up. We painted everything, and we replaced our grill with a new grill. I got a new grill, and I got a smoker.
Oh yeah, baby.
So the grill works pretty good, and the smoker's being put to work today, and we'll see how that ends up, working out.
Yeah, funny enough, episode 100 might have that in it, or 101 might have it. Be like, yeah, it burnt down his house. We're actually filming from our car.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing the next episode in the Fiesta ST.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast.
It's not that small.
No, I know.
It's not that small. It's got a good personality. It's more than enough car. So I had an excellent weekend. I got me a new grill, new smoker. It all works pretty good. The area looks really good. So, all in all, pretty good. And then I had jury duty. So, not over the weekend, obviously, but
on that Tuesday, right?
On Wednesday.
I walked into your department and I was like, it was early, and I said, "Oh, Chris must be in the bathroom." And I was talking to Alex, and then I left, came back like 2-3 hours later. And I was like, oh, Chris still isn't around. Where is he? I totally forgot you had jury duty because I forgot you had it like a week after me.
Yeah.
Which mine ended up getting canceled, but yours didn't.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I'm like, yeah, where's Chris? He's like, he's in jury duty. And I went, oh, rip. Really loud. With the door open, I just literally went, oh, bro, that sucks.
Bruh. What happens is, I think it's different, like, depending on where you're at. But, like, the way it works is you kind of like call in, or I think you can check online too, and they'll tell you like, hey, you need to show up, or hey, don't bother. They told Jordan don't bother, but then I called, they said that I had to report, I had to be there.
Didn't it say when you were telling me about it, I think you said it was like, all jurors must absolutely show up. Wasn't it like such a definitive statement?
It was all like, all jurors must show up on this date as scheduled. I'm like, okay, great. And there was also, he was weirdly adamant about parking garages, because there's like two that are like right near each other. It was, you have to park in this one because you get the juror rate. Or if you park in that one, you're going to spend all your money.
He's like, yeah, I'm going to fucking break your kneecaps,
I'm
bitch.
going to break into your car and blow it up.
He just fucking, you parked there, like, is this the right lot? Oh, let me get out. You get out, and he's just standing there. He's like, get the fuck out of my lot,
shoots
boy.
Me.
It's
So,
like Arthur Morgan.
Yeah, my jury duty was fine. I showed up to the courthouse, and the door was locked. And then someone was outside saying they open at 8:30. I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be here at 8. But then there was another door that was unlocked, so I just went in. I had my thing in the mail that I got in the mail. I had a Pepsi, a Diet Pepsi, and I had a book. And I took my belt off, and I put it in the thing, because you got to go through the metal detector. And I was so worried, because I had my steel-toe boots on. I was so worried about my boots. I asked them like 3 times, like, hey, do I need to take these? They're steel-toe. Do I need to take them off? And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I was so worried about my boots that I forgot to empty my pockets. So I just walked through, the metal detector goes off. I go, oh, shit, what did I do? So the guy gets the wand out, and and then he goes, and it goes off right in my pocket. I go, oh shit, I didn't empty my pockets. And he just gives me a look. He goes, empty your pockets and go through again. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So I pockets emptied.
Forgets one thing, gets shot this time. Like, fuck him.
Pockets emptied. My keys, wallet, my phone in the thing. Goes back through the detector. I go back through the detector. And we're good. So then I'm let in. I'm allowed to go into the courthouse.
As you were going through, the guy's like, just waiting. If it even made a beep, you're fucking blasted.
He hits a button and I get vaporized.
Vapor cannon.
So I did that. I got in and I was like, you know what? There's a ton of people here. I can't imagine there's that many like cases that are going on today. I was the first group to get called up. I was in the first group to get called up. So I was like, oh shit. I thought I was just going to sit here and then I was going to get out of here. But I guess not. And when they said, well, you're going to be going up to a courtroom to be picked for a case. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to serve on a case probably like a day or something. So I'm fine with that, I guess. Because I still get paid regardless just because of the law.
For the first 3 days or whatever.
And I go up. And I see the case, and I talked about it to people, but like I don't think you're supposed to still, because they're I think they're still picking a jury, so I'm not going to be very specific. But it was going to be a very long case. The judge explained it was be like two weeks or more. And I was like, oh shit. So I texted our boss about it. I was like, hey, I might be on this case. What am I supposed to do? And he's like, well, I don't know. And then
he's like, you're fired.
But they ask you beforehand, is there, especially with the length of this trial, is there any reason you shouldn't serve on this jury? And I said, I gotta work, man. Basically. Yeah. I said it in a much different way than that, but it boiled down to like, I gotta work, man.
You gotta pay for college.
I gotta go on living here. And the judge was like, all right, and he dismissed me from that case. But there were still other ones, so I was like, oh shit, I might still have to
get pulled into like a day or two one, yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up getting sent back, and I sat around for like another hour and a half, and they were like, okay, if you were in that first group, you get to go home. I was like, oh shit. So then I went straight to work.
Nice.
So that's
good at least.
All in all, it was a pretty decent experience, I think.
Yeah, it could have went a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse.
They're like, actually, you know what? You're not on the jury. You're going to be the prisoner.
You're actually,
You're being fined.
We're sentencing you to death. But I'm on the jury. I can't do... I don't care. I'm the judge.
What did I tell you about parking in A2, asshole? He waits till you fucking get in there.
I told you to park in this garage, and you parked in that garage.
And then you didn't empty your pockets. So at this point, I'm starting to think you need to die.
I'm starting to think that you are a terrorist.
You parked 18 feet to the south, and you didn't empty your pockets.
It's okay though. I had a trump card in case, because what you want to do with jury duty, if you really don't want to serve, just at any arbitrary point, blurt out the words jury nullification. They will throw you out of that courthouse faster than you can blink.
Yeah.
Because a jury nullification is it's an idea that you as a jury can find that the defendant is guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, but give a not guilty verdict.
Yeah.
And that's essentially nullifying the law. And that's usually done if the law is deemed as unconstitutional, or if the jury does not agree with the law, or it happened a lot during the Fugitive Slave Act, where if they had juries in the North, they wouldn't convict the slave, and the slave would go free. So it was a big thing back then too. So that's your trump card. That's your get out of jury duty free card. If you really want to get out of it.
Yeah.
I've heard that if you agree to serve on a jury with the intention of committing jury nullification, and then you tell someone that, you can be arrested though, because it's perjury.
Yeah. It's just lying. At the end of the day, you're just straight up falsifying.
Yeah. So be careful with that. Use that at your own risk.
Right.
This is not legal advice. If you get arrested, it's not my fault.
Yeah, it isn't. So do it. Send us a video.
Do it. Send us a video. And And, especially if you get shot or something.
Guy's like, yo, bro, check it out, bro. Caught a 9 to the chest, dude.
Bro.
So check it.
Going to the hospital.
Is it, bro? I'm feeling kind of dizzy, not gonna lie.
I'm not feeling too good.
Fucking dies. Oh, boy.
But, speaking, thinking about weekends, how bad was your weekend?
So this was actually 2 weekends.
2 weekends in a row?
Yeah. This was...
Damn,
I have a
bro.
Sunday incident and a Saturday incident. The Saturday incident was last week when Chris was doing his shopping and building up his shit over here, the cooking area.
And I'm aware of this incident.
And the Sunday was the week before that. So we'll start with the Sunday. I'm going to kind of paint a picture of my week. So the Sunday was pretty good. We made some last-minute decisions to do some things. I was like, yo, let's just go buy a bike. Wouldn't that be kind of sick? So we're like, yeah. So we did a ton of shopping throughout the day. I don't quite remember exactly what we were doing. We were shopping for a bunch of shit. Pretty much from like 11 or like 10 till like 6 o'clock at night we were fucking shopping. And I hate shopping. So we did a bunch of shopping. And then finally I was like, yo, let's get a bike. So we go to Walmart. And I find a nice bike. I find a Schwinn Sidewinder. I'm like, that's a pretty nice bike.
Damn, this bro got a Schwinn?
Yeah, dude, I buy the bike. I'm like,
I can't afford that shit, bro.
I go, this thing's pretty fucking mint. I'd buy it. I'd go out. I'd fucking ride it in the parking lot to my car. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty nice. Everything seems good. I get to my car. I'm like, all right, I got to put this in the trunk. So I had an Allen key set. I loosen the front fork. I go to turn the handlebar, and the entire thing falls apart.
Right in the parking lot?
Yeah, and I went, fuck.
Was it the Walmart near you or the one near me?
I knew you.
Okay, so it wasn't as dangerous as it could have been.
Yeah.
There's some creatures that go to Walmart regardless of which one you go to.
But the one near me is...
But especially if you go to the Walmart in any inner city area, it's especially bad.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it was the one near you, so it wasn't as bad. So I start piecing these pieces together, and I'm like, this just doesn't look right, whatever. I throw it in the trunk. I get home, or actually, rather, I get to my dad's to grab, like, a scooter, and I'm just grabbing shit, pretty much. And I try to, like, get the bike together, and it's just, like, not working. Like, all the pieces just are not fitting together correctly. And I'm like, I'm noticing there's a ball bearing, or a ring of ball bearings. I'm like, they're exposed. Like, it doesn't make sense for ball bearings to be exposed to the weather. Like, I'm not a fucking mechanic, but I know basic stuff about how mechanical things work. And I know that you don't just leave ball bearings exposed to the elements.
Yeah, if it's exposed to the weather, it matters.
Yeah, it's usually a sealed thing. Like, it's usually pretty protected. So I'm like, this is weird. So then I start wheeling the bike up the driveway, and I hear ding, 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 ding. All the ball bearings are falling out. I don't think I've been that mad in a while, besides maybe the following Saturday, but I was incredibly angry.
At the start of this incident, pre-bike falling apart, how hot were you already? Were you already like kind of...
Out of 10, I was probably like a 4. I was getting to the tipping point. I was almost
annoyed.
Yeah, I was just disgruntled. This was my plan. I was like, all right, it's late. It's Sunday. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm sick of shopping. We're about to be done. This is going to be epic. I'm going to throw the bike in. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to chill. And then everything cascaded from there.
Yeah. I would say shopping trips generally with me is like, I'll start to get a little disgruntled or annoyed, but very, very rarely do I get mad while I'm shopping. It's only when I have to do like... When I have to go and I'm in the middle of like a project or something, or I'm working on a project and I'm in a store with that project in mind, like when we got the stuff for the set, like I had that project in mind and that project only. So like any other extraneous bullshit, I had zero tolerance for.
Yeah.
So.
No, I feel that for sure. So the ball bearings start to fall out, and I'm like done at this point. So Lexi's like, just fuck it, bring it back to the store. Like, something's wrong with it, obviously. Like, it shouldn't have fallen apart. A bunch of shit's wrong. And I'm like, I literally was like, I don't want to drive anymore. I'm sick of driving places. So we drive all the way to the Walmart in my area. Their app says they have another one in a different color. We return the bike. They don't ask any questions because they could clearly see that the front fork was like fucking flimsying around. And they take the bike back. We go to the back of the store. They don't have that bike. They have one version of that bike where some schmuck pulled on the brake. So instead of it being nice and tight in its shroud, it's just ripped like out of the bike.
They didn't have any in like boxes?
No.
The same thing happened when we went to go get my grill. So the smoker was fine. They had it in a box, but they had 0 grills that were in boxes.
They were all
all put together.
Yeah.
Why? It takes 2 seconds to put it together. Why not just put this shit in a box and then have one out as a display?
Right. So
Same thing with bikes or anything that has to be put together.
it would have made it easier for me to transport, that's for sure.
Just people need to stop being lazy, I think. Because you could spend 20 minutes to put a stupid thing together. I've done it with my chairs and stuff. It's not that difficult.
It isn't, no. So I'm already pissed at this point, and I'm like, I'm about to throw in the towel. I'm like, I'm just going to take the money and run. Fuck the bike. And Lexi's like, no, you wanted a bike. We knew there was a second one at the Walmart near you. Let's go all the way back there. And I'm like, all right, cool. We go all the way back over here.
Yeah, I simply would not have done that.
And I get the bike. And it's the bike I have now. So everything went well with that part. I get the bike. I'm like, all right. I look at the part that fell apart in the other bike, and it looks totally different. There's a cap missing that was missing on the other bike. So I'm like, that's why it all fell apart. Someone fucked with it or did something wrong.
Yeah.
So we get the bike.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
We go all the way back to my dad's. We start to clear stuff out. And the other part of this goal was to start putting in some of those black interior pieces on my car so I could get rid of what I didn't want to use, like the power window stuff, and clear up space in my dad's garage. But also because I was just like, yeah, we'll throw it all out. And Lexi was like, no, you spent like $200. Just fucking do it. Like, put what you have in. So it was like maybe 6:30. We started that. And everything you could think of went wrong with that. Interior trim pieces, no problem. Little side pieces, the glove bots, coin bots, all fucking buttery smooth. Took me all of 40 seconds to do. We get to the seats. We take out the back seats. I ran into like one hiccup getting the seat out because I didn't realize there was a clip. So I looked it up quick and I'm like, oh, it's a clip. Pull it in, pull the back seats out. Then the cracks start to show. Go to pull the seat out and it's stuck on something. I'm like,
boy.
wow, this is fucking weird. I look underneath it and someone at Chevy, was like, all right, we have this main wiring harness, right? And it's gonna go underneath the seat. So what if, instead of going underneath the seat, we actually go through the seat? And that way, in order for you to take out the seat, you have to completely disconnect the wiring harness from the back of the car to the front and pull it through the front and then rerun it yourself. So I had to basically disassemble my entire battery. Luckily, it's not that crazy of a harness. It's maybe like 6 plugs, and it's just one shrouded big-ass cable.
Yeah,
but I had to basically fuck around in my trunk disassembling things because my battery's in my trunk. So I had to disassemble a bunch of shit back there. Yeah.
Huh.
And pull the harness all the way through the front, get rid of the seats, bring the new seats, put the new harness.
Which, mind you, the new front seat that you have also has a cigarette burn in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously from the previous owner, not from Jordan, because he bought that out of a
wrecked car or whatever. So I rerun the harness. I put the bat seats in. I start to notice. I'm like, oh, there's more damage to the bat seats than I thought. That sucks, but whatever. It's still better than what I had. Stick that in. That part's done. All right. Nice. We already had my front seats out at this point because obviously working on the bat seats, it doesn't make sense to have a fucking seat up against your ass. Yeah. So we had the front seats out. I'm like, fucking lickety split, baby. Let's do this. It was like 20 minutes. Let's go. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's grab the front seats. I go to install the passenger one. I believe it was the driver's one. I'm sorry, the driver's one. Slips right in. Everything seems pretty good on it. All working nice. I'm like fucking with it. I'm like, oh, I got it from the luxury trim version of the car. So I'm like, oh, there's a little knob here for lumbar support. That's cool. It's nice.
Wow.
I'm like, that's very nice. We go to grab the other seat. We're like, oh, that's right. The rails were completely broken on this one. Got to replace that. We grab my old passenger seat. Try to swap the rails. And they're welded. They're welded to a chassis, and then that chassis is riveted with big fuck-off rivets that we didn't have.
Cool.
And I'm like, oh, brother. And this is the point where, like, my dad's already getting annoyed.
I mean, was there something where you could, like, just drill out the rivets and then just send self-tapping screws through it or something?
We were going to do that, but the problem is the rivets themselves are like that fucking big. Like the head of the rivet was like that, but the rivet.
Because I was gonna say,
that.
if I could bootleg something like that, I would just do it that way.
That was gonna be the plan, but my dad looked at it and he's like, "Okay, this looks incredibly complicated." But I was like, "If anyone can figure it out, it's him." So I'm like, "Just try to figure this out." So he is trying to move parts, and he gets a couple parts to move over. And at this point, it's already like 9 or 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to get parts to move over. Finally gets it. And then we have an issue where the winding for the actual seat is out of, like, timing alignment. I don't know what the proper terminology is because I don't fucking work on seats. But essentially, there's a cog on the base of the seat that basically is adjusted for the backrest and for the slider. It's like basically a coil.
Similar to, like, your clock spring in your steering wheel. Like
Yeah.
if you do suspension work and then the steering wheel over the course of that suspension work spins around, so it's all out of alignment, you're supposed to adjust it so that it spins back rather than just going
Yeah.
and flipping it around.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then you'll fuck up your clock spring.
So that's pretty much what it is like there's just a coil and we're trying to basically hit a lever, and there's no lever at this point. It's a little screwdriver. You have to hit a little like release, pull the slides forward or backwards, and then pull back on the backrest to try to get everything into adjustment. Because you physically can't bolt the side rails onto it because there's spokes that stick off of it that are in a unorthodox triangular pattern. So it's keyed essentially. So you need to get it just the right amount of turn on it to get it to slot in. So everything's great. We slotted in. It took us like 3 hours just to do that or so. At this point, it's like 10:30. We finally get that going. My dad's getting fucking livid at this point. I'm getting livid. And I noticed that the module for the airbag's different on this seat. I'm like, it looks a little different. It looks like plastic. And the one in my car is metal and a little bit smaller. Mine actually looks like a perfect example of what mine in my car looks like is a 2.5 inch SATA SSD. It looks exactly like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'm just going to probably get an airbag light. It's fine. I'll fix it. We put the seat in. We finally get it. It's like 11 o'clock at this point. Get the seat in. Start the car. And airbag light. I'm like, no big deal. I drill out the old module on my seat before my dad throws out the seats. I take it. I'm like, I'm just going to wire it in tomorrow. No big deal. Monday, go home from work. Go to wire it in. Harness is different. So at this point, I noticed that the airbag sensor on my car is just a pressure plate. You just sit on it, and it says, hey, someone's there.
In a way, that makes sense.
The airbag sensor on this other car, on this other seat, is a pressure switch. So you sit down, you push a diaphragm. That diaphragm pushes water through a hose into a little plug, and that plug has a pressure transducer built into it that closes or sends a signal to say, hey, someone's sitting here. I'm guessing it's more for pressure, because it looks like it's a pressure transducer and not a switch. So it's not open and closed. It's a specific reading.
It'll tell you, like, the amount of weight that's on there, essentially.
Exactly. I'm guessing it's more complicated to be like, hey, there's 80 pounds here, trigger the airbag. Or, oh, it's only 60, so it's probably not a person. Don't trigger the airbag. Or not trigger, but don't turn on the passenger airbag or whatever.
Or rather, Jordan, hear me out. This could be a much simpler solution. If they have this pressure plate and then they have some sort of spring, maybe made out of like some kind of non-conductive material, so that it doesn't just directly make contact. This spring that's able to hold up to about 80 pounds and then will compress
when
there's more than 80 pounds on it.
That could work, but I just think the idea of like maybe this crazy pressure tube and stuff might be just better.
The ridiculously overcomplicated solution, dare I say German-esque solution.
German-esque, yeah, it's interesting.
I feel like I would not be surprised to see that in like a BMW.
Yeah.
But in a Chevy, I'm very surprised.
Yeah. So in economy Chevy as well.
Yeah.
We're not talking about like the highest end truck they make. We're talking about a Cobalt.
Yeah.
It's literally a commuter car.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Cobalt, it is the most basic car I can even think of.
It's a car for a car for a car. Like, that's all it is. And yeah. So at this point, I'm like, well, fuck. I need to get this fixed. Like, it's airbags. That's quite important. Lexi didn't really feel comfortable driving because she doesn't have a fucking airbag now. And I'm like,
that's fair.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I talked to my dad. I'm like, what can I do? I was like, my theory is, I'm like, I'll swap the fucking sensor. I'll figure this shit out and I'll swap the sensors. And I'm like, but the only problem I have is, do you have to take that whole clock piece apart? And he's like, no, I should be able to just remove the cushion. Luckily, thank fucking Jesus, we were able to remove just the cushion. So what I did is I cut a fucking steak knife and I took the little condom cover off my old seat, sliced through the foam, took off the pressure plate, put it on the new seat, ran the wire through the foam, and then plugged that in instead. So now I just have like a random pressure sensor that's not plugged in on my seat, but it doesn't matter. And I put in my old module, and everything worked great. So now I have passenger airbags.
So yeah, I do not regularly have a passenger, so I would not worry about it if it were my car. So I admire your willingness to like do that.
Well, that and also getting a sticker, because every time you start the car, it would go service airbag, service airbag, service airbag, and then it would shut off.
That
was my other concern. aside from the obvious safety one. So the rest of the week goes pretty well. I'm already a little annoyed. I'm like, this weekend I didn't get to do anything I wanted. It fucking flew by, but whatever. I'll just do my fucking 9 to 5.
Yeah, Jordan.
And we'll go.
I feel like Jordan's been extra hot these last couple of weeks. He's been extra spicy.
A little bit. I haven't had any me time. That's why I've been just pissed. I've just been angered the whole time. So
Bro just needs to lay down and hang out with Oscar.
Literally, dude. That's all I need, man. But yeah. So I just I did my thing, went through the week, then comes Saturday. Saturday was a great day in the morning. Great morning.
Nice.
The new bike that I had, our boss saw it in a photo that I sent of the interior because I had it in the trunk at the time. And he goes, "Hey, what that bike do?" I was like, "Hey, it's a new bike." He was like, "Let's go riding." I was like, "You know what? Fuck it, let's go." So we went Saturday morning at I think 8 a.m. On a very tough bike ride for someone who doesn't really ride bikes anymore. In the woods, I've never ridden a bike through the woods. It was quite scary, but very fun. I was just chilling with him. We were just shooting the shit. It was a great time. If I do say a bit tiring, but it was great. We go back to his house. That's all said and done. We're joking about, we're planning like a Nets trip maybe. And then we had also talked about the gym. I messaged him one day. I was like, "Hey, what's your gym's membership and what days do you go?" Because I was like, I kind of want like a lifestyle change. And like, I think that's the most logical one for me. So let's do it. He's like, "Yep, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it's $30 or $25 a month." So I was like, "All right, cool." So we were planning on going Monday. So after that on Saturday, I'm like, "All right, go home, hang out. Like, let's go do some errands." We go get a car wash. We go to Walmart. This is actually out of order. We go to Walmart first. We get all these cleaning supplies. The idea was we were going to detail our cars, me and Letsy. We got all these cleaning supplies. We load them in my car. Go to the car wash. Go to the gym that our boss goes to. I get the membership. We checked out a Shiba Inu in the pet shop below. We leave the gym. It was actually pretty good though, $1,900. I was surprised, fairly cheap for a Shiba Inu.
See, yeah, any like designer dog is kind of stupid to me.
Yeah.
Just because as much as I don't have any problem with Shiba Inus, I quite like Shiba Inus. They're very much like cats, and I've only really had cats. But like, you know, a dog is a dog is a dog at the end of the day.
Right.
If you're gonna if you want a dog, you should probably rescue one rather than, you know,
buy one.
Spending $2,000 on this purebred Shiba Inu with papers.
Right. Yeah, the thing about Shiba Inus, I just like how aggressive they are too. They're like hunter dogs. Like for what they do, they're herd animals. They actually like are really good on farms to herd cattle. So it's like they're pretty like dominant in a weird sense, even though they are very cat-like. They're like this big.
Well, they are like cats in temperament, is what I meant too.
Yeah.
Because they're very like independent. They don't want anyone to tell them what to do. And cats, I'll tell you this, you can tell them what to do all you want. They will not listen.
Yeah. Yep. So we check out the Shiba Inu. I was like, "Hey, it's a guy.
It's a little doggy.
Little doggy. Look at him. Not gonna buy him. We don't have a house." But I was just like, "Oh, I'm glad you can find him.
You could be friends with Oscar."
There's also an adult one there. Fucking eat Jerry. There's also an adult one there too that was just chilling. It was pretty cool. But there's a couple of dogs we're just looking at, and then, without going into too much personal detail, Letsy gets a call about a family member who's having a health issue, and we're like, "Damn, this sucks." And we look. And that family member just happens to fly by in an ambulance. And we're like, "Oh, that shit's kind of wild." So they are good for context. They did have like a minor heart attack, and they're fine now. As fine as you can be after having a minor heart attack, I guess. So they're doing a lot better, but she's all worried. She's on the phone with her mom. Her mom's incredibly upset. They're talking about the family member, and they're like, "Oh, this is not good." So we're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to my mom's who lives near the hospital that would do anything cardiology related." So we're like, maybe we'll stop in. So we leave. She's on the phone with her mom. We're just driving, nice and peaceful. Go through our go through our stoplight. Driving, stopping traffic, fucking wooling. And I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm behind a delivery vehicle, and I'm just chilling. I'm like, And I look in my mirror, and I'm like, that car, that SUV looks a little suspicious coming out of the side parking lot. And then they fucking accelerate into the back of my car. They turn out of a parking lot and accelerate straight into the back of my car. And Letsy fucking screams, and it's like, "Oh my God, Mom, we just got in an accident," and hangs up. And I went like blank for a moment where I just kind of like, I put my feet up. I was like, what does it mean to be in an accident?
You had to you're just sitting, you're just...
I had to ponder.
Car accident. What does this mean?
An accident caused by potentially two cars colliding.
Unintentionally on a street.
Interesting. Okay. So I pondered for a moment. I looked at Letsy. She looked okay. I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay.
I'm fine. My neck is in order, so we're good.
I'm like, all right. What do I need to do? So before I hop out of the car, I'm like, think logically. What do I need to do? Park. Okay. Put it in park. I put the parking brake just in case.
You don't want any, yeah.
I'm like, all right, because we're in the middle of a very busy street, by the way. This is a 3-lane road in a city. Like, and it's all one direction. It's very busy. So I look in my mirror. I'm like, okay, no cars coming. Granted, this lady's ass is blocking the street anyway. So I get out of the car. I look. I try to, like, make sure people are aware that there's an accident. I walk up to the lady. Well, first I walk up to my car and I look at the damage and I'm like,
damn, that
I'm pretty
sucks.
fucking mad, to be honest. So I walk up to the door and the lady's in there and she locks her door on me. And I'm like, are you okay? She doesn't answer me. I go, are you okay? Said it 3 times. She still didn't answer me. She kept the door locked. Then, let's see what comes around the car and goes up to the door and she unlocks the door and gets out for her. And I'm like, okay, she probably thought I was about to kill her. So I asked her if she was okay. She had a little grandson in the car. I was like, is he okay? She's like, yeah, we're good. I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. I get all her information. We go about our separate ways. At this point, I went from like that 4 or 5, disgruntled on the last Sunday, where I had ended at like a 9, 10.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm probably around like a 10.5, 11.
Nice.
I'm just kind of like, what's the point? Like, I'm in that mindset. Where
Why
I'm just
am I
like,
even alive anymore?
I'm just like, why do I even do things? Like, why do I even bother? Like, I'm in the mindset where I'm just like, what if I just stopped? What if I just didn't? Not saying it sounds like I'm saying like a suicidal thought. It's not what I'm meaning. I mean, like, what if I just stopped doing things? What if I just sat?
What if I just went home and I just sat down and did literally nothing?
Yeah, like that's better. That's what I maybe should describe that as. Like, what if I just sat and just did nothing? How much better would I be? It was like that episode of SpongeBob where he gets injured and he recluses himself in his house. He's like, I refuse to leave. That's like what it was.
Yeah.
I'm just like not having it. So then finally, I did probably the most mature thing I've ever done, because usually I get mad and I stay mad. Like, we talked about this with the set stuff where Chris got mad and he was like, what the fuck? And then he was fine.
Well, yeah, that's how it works for me, and it's different for everyone else. But, like, yeah, I've explained this before. I'll get mad, and then I'll get to a point, and I got to get the angry out, and then I'm done, and then I'm fine.
Normally, I'm kind of like that with rudimentary stuff like that, or like if I fucking, damaged something or I, like, lost time. But when it's something like major, I'm not like that at all. I'll get mad and it will ruin my day. The
biggest issue where that comes in is like if I get to that point and I just want to like scream but I can't. Then it kind of like I gotta sit and I gotta marinate.
That's when you go to mean mud mode, like with the McDonald's.
Sit. Well, I did a small amount of yelling, enough that it was
somewhat leveling out.
It was starting to level out, but I couldn't yell too much because I was in a workplace.
Right. So at this point, I'm so angry, and I'm like, okay. I thought back to the weekend previous with the whole bike incident, and I said to myself, I literally, like I said, like, I usually don't do this, but somehow I fucking summoned the willpower to go, I'm not letting this ruin this weekend. It's not happening. So, I looked at Letsy, and I was like, hey, that's it. Like, don't worry about it. I don't care. We'll worry about this on Monday or on Sunday. I don't care. So, like, we're going to have a good time. She didn't want to detail her car anymore. She's like, I don't even feel like driving. I'm like, no, we're going to do it. It was our plan. We're going to do it. Because if we just go home, I'm going to sit and stew, and I'm going to be angry. Yeah. So we need to do something. So go to my mom's. I show her the damage. We do all that bullshit paperwork on that side. And then we detail our cars. And it came out pretty good. Our cars look pretty good now. My bumper's still fucking wrecked. But, that got appraised yesterday. So we'll see where that goes.
Good.
But it was an eventful couple of weeks. And then Monday morning came, went to the gym with our boss, showed him the video, we were laughing, we were having a good time. I was fucking half asleep, but we were having a good time. Fucking overexerted myself, killed myself, but I felt good. Wednesday he couldn't go, so then Friday we went, and now my ass hurts. So it was leg day. So my entire hips, it feels like I've aged about 65 years.
Yeah.
Making me about 85, 86
Our boss preemptively apologized.
Yeah.
Because he said, "Well, if you might have to go and wheel Jordan out of his house for the podcast because."
So yeah, that was a little long-winded, but that was basically the events for the last 2 weeks. So Chris was having some good times, some ups and downs. I was having a lot of downs, but I I tried to come out of it
Yeah,
positively.
Jordan's the kind of guy who always has a lot of downs.
Yeah, pretty much. So I just came out of it a bit
It's
positively.
like a syndrome for him.
Someone say trisomy. But yeah, and then I restarted my playthrough of The Last of Us 2, and I've been snail pacing it. Like, I'm at a point in the game where I'm not even halfway. My first playthrough took 19 hours and 48 minutes, according to the save. And I'm not even halfway through the game, and I'm at about 11 hours right now. So I'm snail pacing it. I'm fucking looking for everything. But it's because I'm playing it on Hard Plus. So I played it on Hard when I first played it. It's pretty good, pretty easy. I went to New Game Plus, and they don't have the regular modes. They only have the Plus versions of them.
Yeah.
So it was like Hard Plus is like what you know, but less resources and this, that. And I'm like, fucking easy. And then you realize they expect you to somehow fight 15 guys with 3 bullets. So I've been fucking sneaky snaking. I've used like only the bow. Because it's the only weapon you can craft fucking ammo for.
I see.
And I can barely find enough shit to craft ammo. So it's been such a fun time because it's been so stressful, and it's made me realize that like the reason that people hated The Last of Us 2 is because it was like very like bam in your face, like we don't give a shit, we'll just kill main characters like that, like you don't need no fucking bars held back, whatever. That's kind of what Hard Plus feels like, where it's like, oh, I kind of feel like I'm in this game more than ever because I'm actually like, fuck, dude, they're coming. Fuck, I gotta like, I gotta find a way out of here. Like I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I've always liked kind of resource management in games where you have to like kind of pace yourself, and Resident Evil is good with this, where, I mean, at least when I played 8, it was like, okay, there's points in the game where you feel like you're over that hump of like, oh, okay, ammo's kind of easy to find now. And then you get into an encounter where you use all of it.
And then you don't have any for a while.
And then you don't have any for a while, and you're just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
You're walking around with like 5 bullets left in your pistol, and that's it. You're like, oh my god, if I get jumped here, I am fucking dead.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it's been. Is like I'll get through a combat section really good with the bow, and sometimes you can reclaim your arrows. Sometimes they snap. So I'm like reclaiming some of my arrows, and I'm like, all right, I got like 6 arrows. I got 3 rifle shots, 2 shotgun shots, and 1 of each handgun, which is only 2. So 2 pistol bullets. I'm like, I'm looking good. Got 2 med kits, looking good. And then you get to a part of the game where like you fall into a room of fucking clickers, and you can't melee fight clickers. So like if you're on like a 2v1, you can do the dodge and just like fist fight the shit out of the human AI and the regular zombies. But when you get clickers, you can't fist fight them because they're spontaneous. When they run at you, they just start swinging because they can't see. So they just auto grab you. That's like one of the mechanics of the game is clickers are like an instant kill if they grab you. So unless you have in the first game anyway a shiv to like break out, but so you have to either sneak attack them or like run away and hide and hope they don't hear you, or shoot them. So I'll just like fucking use all my ammo on them. But it's been a great honestly time with the game, and it's made me realize even further that I don't really care what people say about the big death and everything that happened with that.
You know, I've always kind of thought about this. This is why when I phrase things, I'm particularly careful with it. When I say something's not good, or, you know, I will always say, I did not enjoy it, rather than it's not
bad.
Good. Because I definitely did talk in absolutes like that for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is bad, regardless of whether I've played or watched or whatever I'm talking about, regardless of whether I've experienced it or not. I'm like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Rather than going, I've heard people say it was bad, but I have not played it. This is what I've always said about Last of Us 2. And same with a lot of other things. And if I play a game and I think it's bad, I go, I thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah. That's how it should be. Honestly, what changed my mindset, weirdly enough, was a YouTuber. The one I always talk about who I go to for reviews and stuff. It's a channel called Game Rains, and the main guy his name's Jake. And he'll review games that, like, I would never even play.
Yeah.
Like, top-down beat-em-ups and shooters and stuff. And no matter what type of game he plays, he always gives you what he says is, what do you say? He says, the pros, the cons, and some personal opinion. So, he'll tell you, start to finish. Like, yeah, the combat's really good, the gameplay is, like, really fast-paced, it keeps you interested, and then at the end he'll be like, but this type of game's not for me. He'll be like, so if you like this type of game, you're gonna love it. If you don't, you're not. It's not gonna sway your opinion. You're not gonna magically be pulled over to that genre.
because there are things that are like, this game is objectively good. Like it's very impressively made, and it's and I can see why I can see why a lot of people would like this, but personally I don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like that.
There are people who have reviewed Red Dead 2 that say it's bad, and like that is an objectively fantastic game.
The writing and everything is there, but again, at the end of the day, I think people need to respect more differences in opinion.
Yeah.
Just in general, because you see this all the time. It's like, no, this game sucks. Stop enjoying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jordan, you're having a good time playing Last of Us 2. Stop. You're supposed to hate the game.
Return it.
Do you have it on disc or digital?
Yeah, disc.
Take your disc, cut it in half, and feed it to your guinea pigs.
Do you know, like, why people are so, like, part of the reason people are so mad?
Well, I mean, I know it was the Joel dying and...
Yeah, that...
But I know there was, like,
this
weird... I know that there was this weird political side to the argument, which I never understood, because I always see this outrage with games, too. And it's not necessarily always with this specific game, but games in general, when they have, like, some character that's different than the norm... Mm-hmm. Big quotes on that. This is not, people get really upset about it.
Yeah. So with Ellie being a lesbian.
Yeah, it's always like, why do you care so much?
Yeah.
I've said this before. Like, maybe your problem isn't with this character being gay. Maybe it's with gay people.
Yeah, gay people. But yeah, no, it's just, I think there is certainly critiques to be made where I was like, man, like, I would maybe do this differently if I was the creative person making this. But when you read into it more than just what you see on the screen, and you read into why certain things were done, you start to go, that's a pretty good way.
A take that I heard recently about the game was that, given how dark and gritty and, like, just heart-wrenching it is, given the time in which it was released, because it was like beginning of the pandemic, everyone was feeling like shit globally, and then they released this just dark, depressing game to crush your spirits even further.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might have added into it a bit more.
Yeah, I could certainly see where that would certainly play a factor, but it's just, it all comes down to a couple of the political things, like you said, and the big one is Joel's death, the way he dies. And the problem is everyone wants to be the hero, but, like, the way The Last of Us 1 ends, you're the villain. Like, that's the whole point of the story, is, like, it's like, oh, man, you're supposed to come out of The Last of Us 1 and be like, well, I'm glad, like, things worked out for these characters, but, like, wow, they paid a heavy price for what they did. Like, do you know how that one ends at all?
No, but I do plan on playing it when it gets to PC.
You don't want me to say it, right?
No, I don't.
So, all right, so just in general, like, expect that. Like, you should come out of that game not being like, great job, baby. You should come out being like, well, I'm glad things worked out, but, like, oof, was that worth it?
I think I'll enjoy it because
you will.
I like moral grayness. I don't like where the writer of a story is like, hey, this is the good guy, they can do no wrong, and this is the bad guy, they suck and they're evil in every single way. I like where it's, well, your character's not exactly great, but he does what he's got to do.
Yeah, it's pretty much, that's how the first one ends, and then the second one, people are just mad because, like, genuinely the whole big death thing happens in, like, the first hour. Like,
yeah.
That's it. It just, like, kind of happens, and you're like...
I have also heard that if the game wasn't non-linear to the extent that it was, because it, that it probably would be better. Or people would have liked it more.
Maybe, yeah. They did make it more open-ended. Think of it as, like, we'll call it, like, Hitman-esque. Where it's, like, you start off in an area... And it's like, okay, you might see a building in the distance, and Ellie's like, oh, we got to get to that building. And you just walk your way through this town, and it's linear in the sense that you can't just walk in a straight line. You have to go through different side buildings and do things like, as the story wants you to. But the areas you're in are open. So
It's, you see non-linear storytelling. I don't know how it's done in Last of Us 2 per se, but it happened when I just finished the first Witcher book, and it happens then. And because of how the show was laid out, I thought it was going to be incomprehensible because I had to look up a timeline for the show.
right.
And in the book, it's done so much better because there's a story. It's all short stories, and there's a story in between each story called The Voice of Reason, and it's Geralt after a contract. He gets badly injured, and he's staying in a temple to heal and recover and stuff. And he basically is like, he kind of just throughout this exposition or throughout this story, he'll give an intro to the next story.
Oh, really?
Basically, he's like, this reminds me of that time that it's not this blatant, but it's like, this reminds me of this time that I did this with Dandelion, and then that's the next story. So that's done pretty, and it's kind of like if you've ever seen Memento, the movie.
Sounds familiar.
It's a guy, he has like a memory condition, so he like forgets stuff every like 5 minutes basically. So he takes pictures to remember. So what he'll do is he'll find himself in a situation, and then the movie will essentially work back to find out how he got there.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
So I watched it. I thought it was alright. I didn't think it was like,
Outstanding.
I didn't think it was like a 12 out of 10 film, but it was alright.
Yeah. That sounds pretty cool, though. It's a cool concept, at least.
Yeah, it was neat.
It's kind of like Deathloop. That's how Deathloop starts, is like, you're like already started, and then all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck happened? And you die, and then it shows you the mechanic of the game that loops you, and you're like, oh, I get it now. You're like, he did all this shit, then died and brought back. Like it's a little different because you're just reliving. You're not just like remembering, but same kind of concept anyway of going backwards. But
yeah, I also do kind of like that method of storytelling. Especially you see like cold opens a lot, and this happens a lot in, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, the only two shows I've ever watched because it's the only ones I mentioned. But you see that a lot where the intro is like, oh, here's this cold open that shows you some mysterious scene, and then it's like, here's 4 episodes to tell you how they got there.
it's funny.
Or like, here's an episode to tell you how they got there.
It's kind of funny. It reminds me of the ideas we had, not without spoiling it for the podcast, but some of the ideas we came up with. It's the same concept of like a random scene. You're like, what the fuck? It's kind of funny.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I highly recommend it when it comes out. Definitely give her a shot. So I did find out that the article I read was incorrect. The game comes out September 4th for PS5, with a PC release planned later.
Okay.
So
because I do want to see, I with PC, I'll probably wait until both are out on PC because I'm assuming both will come.
I'm sure they will eventually, yeah.
And, it'll be, it'll give me time because I am going to buy Spider-Man and Miles Morales and play those games again on PC.
I am too, but only on the Steam Deck, so not until I have it. Because
those games, at least Spider-Man, I haven't played Miles Morales. I'm assuming it's more of the same. Spider-Man, fantastic game. Fantastic game. Because I'm not super in on, like, the Marvel,
Cinematic universe.
Yeah, I'm not super big on the MCU. Not saying that I don't like it. I'm just saying I haven't really watched a lot of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I, still like Spider-Man as a character.
Yeah.
And seeing this rendition of Spider-Man that's not like
15.
Oh, here's a million nods to the MCU and you have to watch all the movies to understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
Which is like I do like that.
I just like how it's experienced, Peter.
Yeah, I still do have plans as well to go and watch the Maguire, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, the Raimi ones.
Watch the extended versions if you do.
I have them. I have them on
really
DVD,
good.
So I don't know if the version's on there.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah, if not, you could always rent them. But I would, if you can, I would advise it. It's a bit.
Yeah,
different.
I will rent these movies. I will obtain them through legal means.
Oh man.
I will not commit a federal offense to obtain these movies. I would never do that.
I'm glad. I'll be going to your jury duty, or your jury convention. Be like, fuck, man. Damn,
Damn,
Chris.
bruh.
Damn,
They
what'd
got
you
me.
do? Damn, fat, what happened?
they got me downloading Spider-Man.
Did I ever tell you about, there was this app or this website, it was both called Popcorn Time.
Oh, it's one of those shitty, like, bootleg movie ones, right?
Yeah, and when I first started dating Lexi in high school, we found the app, and I was like, yo, check this out. And it was my first ever, like, foray into this sort of side of the internet.
What,
So,
piracy?
Essentially, yeah, which I've never pirated since. And before, this was like the only time I've ever done something like that.
I used to do allegedly a lot of piracy.
We were watching a bunch of
Nothing
movies.
that you can prove.
We were doing a couple of like just like date night things, just watching a shit ton of movies like for like 2 weeks. And her mom, who was at her house, has Cox internet. And randomly, they called.
Oh, no.
And they were like, hey, is someone watching a movie in your house? And they were like, I think so. And then they were like, okay, well, they have one more strike before the police get called.
Damn.
So tell them to stop.
Damn.
So she told us, and we were like, oh, fuck. So we stopped doing that. But it was interesting, to say the least, that Cox called and was like, hey, bro, like,
I've only
stop
seen
this.
like they'll get you if it depends on how much piracy you do, but I've heard that they'll get you if you do a lot of piracy, like an absurd amount.
Right.
If it was a situation like that, where they, actually did call the police, it would be like, hey, cut it out, you little goobers, because you're kids too, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
really...
we were like 15 at the time.
They'd be
16.
like, just cut it out, so we don't have to come back here.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
usually pretty reasonable.
Right. So yeah, that was definitely an interesting endeavor. But Chris, you have anything else you wanted to say?
Man, no, I have another story, but I'm gonna tell it next time around.
All right. Next episode's probably gonna be like the Chris-isode, because I did most of the talking for like the first 40
shut
minutes.
Up. So anyway, you've been listening to the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host and only host, Chris.
So what I was gonna mention was I had a real quick so we can get closer to that hour mark. Listen, I don't want to cut you guys short because this one's pretty funny actually. I was playing Red Dead on Dead Nightmare, as we talked about, and I forgot how zany the weapons get in that. By the way, you have fucking holy water. You got the blunderbuss, blunderbuss, dude. It's fucking awesome. So I had the explosive rifle, right?
Oh boy.
And I was just riding my horse. I had just unlocked it. I was like, this thing's pretty cool. And I forgot that when you unlock a weapon, it auto-equips it as, like, the current weapon. And I'm like, no big deal. I'm riding my horse. This lady comes fucking running out of the woods. The blue dot starts flashing on the map. She goes, help! Help! And then a zombie tackles her.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I'll save you. And I pull out a rifle. And I fucking hit the trigger. And then this red aura appears, and the blue dot disappears from the map. I vaporized this lady.
I
fucking turned her to mist.
Yeah, that reminds me of the misclicks that I've had with games like that. Like GTA 5, I did that once. There was like, oh yeah, I remember what it was. And online, because I was thinking maybe the taser, but no, you only had that in single player. And online, and in the regular game, if you had nothing equipped and you use the weapon button, your character would just hold their middle finger out the window.
Yeah.
And I saw this, one of the hookers on the street, and I was like, oh, as you just kept trying to proposition me. So I was like, get out of here, man. Wait for my boys. I was going to flip her off, and I forgot I had my gun equipped, and I just shot her in the stomach. I just shot her in the stomach. She just doubles over and falls.
She's like, ah!
I thought I had a genuine reaction to that. I went, oh, shit. Same thing, I did that in Red Dead, where I thought I had my lasso equipped, and I was going to lasso someone, because especially if I find a group of bad guys, I like to lasso at least one of them, just because I'm like, you know what? I could, like, feed this guy to the gators or something.
Yeah.
I could do something with him, and I don't feel bad about it because, it's, he shot at me, so, he deserves what's coming to him. I went to lasso someone, and I just forgot I had my pistols equipped, and I just shot the person in the face.
My favorite was when I thought I had the lasso. You know how you can just like hit the like shoot button without aiming, and Arthur will like grab him and throw him on the ground and tie him up.
Yeah.
I did that once, but I had a sawed-off shotgun, and it just cuts to a quick animation of like him sticking it in the guy's mouth and blowing the top of his head off. And I'm like,
oh man.
you know, that's actually a secret I found out on Reddit with Red Dead 2, which I thought was pretty cool. You know some of the stranger missions where the guy one of them where the guy comes out of the gun shop and he's like, check this new piece out, and he accidentally shoots his friend in the face.
Yeah.
You can actually lasso him and bring him to the local jail, and it will prompt you like, oh, Arthur will be like, yep, this dumb fucker shot his friend.
Damn.
And you can throw him in jail. You can do that apparently with a bunch of the stranger missions. Like any of the ones that
really
involve a crime, you can just tie him up and bring him to jail.
Huh.
I thought that was pretty sick, to be honest.
That's pretty neat.
Instead
actually.
of like yelling at the guy or shooting him or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, those stranger missions always went crazy.
I forgot how much better they are in Red Dead 2, though. Like, Red Dead 1's good
so
for the time,
good in
but
Red
they're
Dead
way
2.
better in Red Dead 2.
And they had, like, in the challenges, they had, one of the things you had to complete was, it was just a thing called Bushwhacked, where you know how, like, sometimes that there will be a random event where a stranger's like, hey, can you give me a ride to town? And then they try to rob you.
Yeah.
Essentially. And that was one of the things you had to do. I think you had to do it 5 times or get, like, 5 events happening. So every time someone was like, because there was some that I had remembered from my previous playthroughs and there's some that I didn't. And, so I'll see, hey, mister, could you help me out? And I go, yeah, sure. And they walk up and try to steal my horse, and I just, without hesitation, blow their skull open.
Yeah.
I delete their cranium.
Yeah.
And, those stranger missions are fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they are. I like how much more frequently they happen, too, in Red Dead 2.
Because it does feel more, immersive.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Even if it's some of the conversations, like roadside conversations where someone stops you and, like, asks their question or something, like, even those are just like, oh, it's pretty cool. Instead of just, like, walking past their computer, it's like,
Or where you're in town and, like, a drunk guy comes out of the tavern and
he falls.
He goes, I forgot where my house was. Can you point me in the right direction? And you can either point him in the wrong direction or in the right direction. Or where the guy tries to, there's one where a guy tries to duel you, and, because he's coming out of the bar and he walks into you, and he tries to duel you, and he just falls over and passes out.
Yeah. That was always funny. There's not enough duels in Red Dead 2.
No, there isn't.
Compared to Red Dead 1. Red Dead 1 has, like, an entire chapter of the game where it's like, you just fucking duel people.
There's the, I guess there's the, oh my god, what's the mission? The one with the book. The guy who's writing the book.
Oh, yeah, the Gunslinger ones?
Yeah. Those are all duels, so.
Yeah. Yeah, did you, you actually know, you made me think of that. You know Tommy, the guy you beat up at the bar in Valentine? Yeah. Do you know what happens to him after that fight?
Maybe at one point I did, but I forget now.
So, actually, you can find him after. He's actually brain damaged from Arthur beating the shit out of him.
Well, yeah, someone had to step in. You know, the guy had to step in because, Arthur was going to kill him.
Yeah.
It was like, there was definitely intent to kill.
That's why canon-wise, there's a lot of debates on, like, the Reddit subreddit for it, where people are saying, like, Arthur's definitely a lot stronger than he lets on at certain points, because they say, canonically, if you think about it, like, he beats the shit out of Tommy, who's, like, twice his size.
Yeah.
When it comes time at the end to fight Micah, if you do the good route, you almost beat him with tuberculosis.
Yeah, you're, like, sick and dying.
And you still technically, like, beat his ass.
Yeah.
So it's people are, like, saying canonically Arthur's just a fucking behemoth. So.
I mean,
I would agree.
With how meaty the the hand-to-hand combat in that game is, you can tell.
Yeah.
It's so heavy. I don't know if they change it when you are John Marston, but because he is like kind of a smaller guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not small, but like he's smaller than Arthur. So
yeah,
I don't know if they change it at all though.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
So, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed. Put it in your favorite app. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats to email, or via email, to synapsemisfire@pm.me. And as always, YouTube comment section and Instagram and TikTok. And keep an eye out on some of the specials that will be coming out soon. Like our camping trip. It's going to be fucking mint.
Yeah. Keep an eye out.
Yeah. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.